I don't know how I'm gonna start this story, but what's today's date? Today is the 4th of June. Every time of the year around this time, I don't know, I just always feel so emotional about this. I remember so well, this time it was about 5 years ago. It was the Golden Jubilee weekend in the UK then, so there was a public holiday. The only thing I felt was just a normal headache, and at this time I was pregnant, so this was my first baby, and I think I was about 27 weeks or 26 weeks, I'm not really sure. So all at that moment, that weekend, it was, I think the headache started on Friday, and at this time I was 22, maybe not 21. I was living in a shared apartment with one of my auntie. I'm gonna be mentioning names so that the story can be quite interesting. So this my auntie is called Auntie Faye. So we were living together in a house, but I had my room and she had hers. So I went to knock at our room and I said, oh my god, I'm having a headache and it's just not stopping. And she was like, oh, you know what, take paracetamol and go and lie down, maybe you'll feel better, you know. I went over and I went to can take I think she gave me the paracetamol, so I had it and I went to bed. Believe me when I tell you that this paracetamol made the headache 10 times worse. So I took the paracetamol, I was in my bed, tossing around and all that. So I went back to her. I was like, this paracetamol is not working. I don't know what to do. She was like, oh, maybe I should take it every 4 hours, but I should just make sure that I'm drinking water and I'm resting. So I just went back to my room and this headache was not going. It was just not going. So I was just there for Saturday and Sunday with this headache. So on Monday morning, I think it was on a Monday morning, and I was supposed to go to work. So in the morning I called the GP, so I booked an early appointment so that they can see me. So I was lucky enough, someone cancelled, so they told me to come in about, maybe I think it was, let me say 11ish. This is 5 years ago, so I don't remember some of this, but it was around that time. So, and I was supposed to be going to work, so I was like, oh perfect, I'll take my work stuff and I'll go and see the GP, and after seeing the GP then I'll just go to work. So I got to the GP, and normally, you know, when you're pregnant, it's just normal. When you get to the GP, you do a urine sample, you wait for them to call you. So I was called in by my GP, and I went in, and the first thing the GP would ask is, oh, did you do a urine sample, blah blah blah. So I gave him my urine sample, and the first thing he did was a protein test on the urine sample. So they get your urine and put some stick stuff inside and see what is happening with your, I don't know, whatever they do with it. So this guy then said to me, oh my god, have you just had lunch? I was like, no. It was like, because you can see some traces of there's a lot of traces of protein in my wee, but I mean, maybe if I've just eaten, it could be that was actually causing it. So I said, oh, that's actually one of the reasons that I haven't been having the appetite to eat, and I'm having this massive headache that is not going. So it was like, oh, you know what, sit down, let's check your blood pressure. This is a normal thing. If you're pregnant, you understand, this is normal procedure they do when you go to see your GP. So this guy then, you know, started taking my blood pressure, and I was telling him like, this has been going on since the weekend, but because there was public holiday and I didn't think it was a need for any emergencies, so I've been dealing with this headache constantly. So when I was talking, he was he has put the thing around my hands and everything. So he looked at the reading and his face changed all of a sudden. I was just sitting there like, I don't know what he was doing. And if you're not GP in this country, they just look at the internet for everything. So I just saw him going on the internet and I don't know what he was doing. So then he said to me, oh madam, I'm gonna have to refer you to A&E because I mean the first one was the protein in your wee is just too much, and now the reading on your blood pressure is a bit high. I'm not sure what to do, but I'm going to give you a letter, then you take it to A&E hospital, like go to A&E. I was like, oh okay. So he printed out the letter and he gave it to me. Then I said to him, oh, you know what, I've got work now, I'll go to work and I'll just tell them I'm sick and I would like go to A&E, because I was like, I didn't want to miss the money for work for that day. This guy just got upset. He was like, I can remember, I'm not even going to lie, I can remember him. I'll never forget that man. He's a Ghanaian man. Ghanaian. He was pissed off. It was like, that's the thing about you African people, you like money. The guy was vexing. I was like, sure, why are you getting upset? I'm the one sick. He was like, you need to go now because your blood pressure is a bit too high. I was like, okay. I carried my bag. I went to the bus stop. Remember I said I was living with my auntie? Obviously she knew I was going to the GP, so I called her. She was at work, so obviously she must have told me, oh, when you get to the GP, let me know what happened and all that. So I called her. Okay, Auntie Faye, this is what they said, blah blah blah. She made it 10 times worse though. She was like, they say you have high blood pressure. Oh my god, you have hypertension. I was like, no, they only said my blood pressure is high. He was like, no, you're going to die. I was like, Jesus. I was just at a bus stop. I was weeping because I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, physically I'm fine, but it was just his headache, and everybody's just throwing so many things on me. Like, I was really sad. I just started crying at the bus stop. So I got on the bus and I got to the A&E. So when I got there, luckily for me, if you got to A&E, you know, the queue, there was not a lot of queue, so it was like really quick for me. Oops. So when I got there, I gave the nurses at the desk the letter the GP gave me, and they asked me to, no, they opened it immediately, right? They saw me there. I had, you know, if you're pregnant, you always carry your pregnancy book and all those things. I had it. So when I got there, the nurses, they read the notes and they looked at each other like, really? I don't know. They were like, oh madam, are you able to do another urine test so that we can do our own examination? I was like, sure, I mean, I'm pregnant. If you want 1 liter of wee, if you're pregnant, you understand, like, you'd always wee. So I was like, oh, it's fine, it's not a problem. So I went in, and this time around, this headache, pardon me, this time around, this headache has not even like gone. The headache is still there. So I was now saying to the nurses, I was like, is there a way they can just give me a painkiller? Like, this headache is not leaving me. So you said, oh, okay. Then they put me in one cubicle, just a little room, and you said I should sit down there. When I finished with the wee and all that, I should sit down there. They will send someone. Less than 2-3 minutes, a nurse came. You know, she did the same thing the doctor did, and this time around she said my blood pressure is gonna be higher. So she had to call all the nurses in, and you know, they start examining everything. They said, is the baby okay? Has the baby been moving? I was like, yeah, I mean, the baby is fine. So now then, you know, they've put me in the bed, they've strapped everything in my tummy, they were monitoring the baby, everything, blah blah blah. All this, everything was just getting too much for me. So I started getting sick. I was throwing up everywhere. Having in mind I'm the only one there, and I was like, I don't know what to do. All what I started this day was just a headache. And you know, they started calling all the doctors to come, because this time around I was throwing up, like I wasn't stopping, and they haven't even given me the paracetamol or whatever painkiller they wanted to give me, but my blood pressure was going I. So the doctor came, and you know, I think they must have given me a drip and all that. So basically they said, oh, I might have like, have I had something called preeclampsia? I was like, no. It's like, oh, it happens to first time mom. We think you might be suffering from preeclampsia. I was like, oh, okay. So where do we go from here? So they said, okay, that they would just give me some medication, and you know what, they would monitor me for the 9th. So another doctor came in to check up on me, and that doctor was just a lifesaver, because as soon as he got in, he looked at me and he was like, you're a bit small. Like my belly was a bit small, and that was all he said. And he got like the taping stuff, and he measured my stomach, and he was like, oh, like, do I mind if they go in and do a scan for me? I was like, I don't mind. I mean, I'm in the hospital, I'm sick. I mean, if you guys are going to do anything, do it. So they were like, okay, they will go and check if he's busy in there, and they would take me in for the scan. So this time around, I've, you know, told my sister that I'm in the hospital, but I think I might be coming home. That was what I told her. But I'm like, literally, I was just giving her an update anyway. So they took me in for the scan, and you know, they were scanning, the baby was moving all right, but the only thing was, the doctor that looked at me was like, oh, that I'm a bit small for that, like the length of my pregnancy. I think I was like 25, 26, I'm not sure. So this time around, they were just there in that place. I don't know what they were doing, but we're just looking at the screen, and they were just taking the time, measuring this, measuring that, measuring that. Let me tell you, they were there for like close to 20 minutes, and I was just like, okay, when are they going to tell me what is happening? So soon, then one of the doctors now said, oh, mom, we think the baby is a bit small, because we've measured the length and everything, and we think it's a bit small. We're not sure, but the baby is too small for what it's supposed to be. Me, I'm in the hospital now. What are you people going to do about it? Because I'm fine. It's just headache that is doing me. Then I was like, oh, okay, you know what, mom, go and stay in, and we'll like call you back. Make sure you drink a lot of water, blah blah blah. I went there. 2 hours later, they brought me in again. I had another scan. This time around, there was 4 doctors. The first one, there was 2. Now there was 4 doctors. They were doing everything. Well, you know, when you look at all the screen, you don't even know what they're doing. Then you're just like, what are you people looking at? Because all I can see is, I can't, you just and you see the baby. I didn't know what they were looking at. I just didn't know what they were looking at. Then they were like, one of the doctors was like, you know what, this is very, very scary. Like, the baby is small, and she doesn't know what is happening, but I'm not in pain except for the headache, nothing, and all that she doesn't want to risk it. So they took me back to where I was. They haven't put me in the big hospital. I'm still at the A&E, and they said I should wait. I don't know wherever they went to go and say later. Then they came back and they said they're gonna have to admit me in the hospital. So this time around, they took me to intensive care. So I was in the intensive care, and this time around my sister was still at the hospital, was still at work. Obviously, I felt like nothing was happening. I mean, they're gonna discharge me soon and tell me to go on. But this time around, no, I forgot to say, they started giving me medication for high blood pressure, because they said my blood pressure was a bit high. So they've given me medication for that, and I was just there waiting. Then these 2 doctors came, and I remember them sitting down and saying, oh, is there anyone else that I want to call to come with me, to come? Why would they say this? I'm like, not really, because everyone, I'm the only one here, and my auntie's at work, but she says she's on her way. Then they were like, okay, the problem is, although it's just headache and we know that it's preeclampsia, but because the baby is very tiny, we're gonna have to bring the baby out today. I was like, what? No, this is only headache. Nothing is happening to me. Headache. I was like, yeah, we understand, but the thing is, you know, we need to save you and the baby. I said the baby is fine. They were like, yeah, he's moving, is everything, but we don't know if the placenta is working. Maybe that's why. They were just calling so many English term or this medical stuff. I was like, no. Knowing the fact that this baby is not even, I think it's about 26 weeks. I was like, no. And I was like, no, hell no. They were like, oh, okay, we're gonna give you some time for, you said your sister was coming to think about it, blah blah blah, because I need to sign, because they have to, you know, take me to the theater. And my sister came and I told her that, look, this is what they're gonna say, and she's like, Abo, do you want to know that? Trust me, never have an African sister. You're in the hospital, they know what is right for you. So if they say so, you should take it. I was like, God, I was just in tears. So they took me in, and remember I said I've been in the intensive care, so they've been monitoring my heart rates. We obviously for the preeclampsia. So now when my sister came, she was just shouting, getting hype already, like she was already scared. It's me that is sick, or it's her that is scared, because it hasn't even sink in for me that I only came inside this hospital for headache, and you people are coming to tell me that I'm going to born today. So they came, then obviously I got dressed in everything, you know, and they said, okay, they would give, because the baby is small and his lungs are not developed, that they would give me, trust me, I don't know what exactly the thing is. So they gave me an injection to help the baby's lung when it comes out. So they said they would let that stay for 6 hours. Think it was 6 hours, then they would take the baby out. So they gave me that. This time around my sister was with me, so obviously she had to come with me into the theater. So we were there, and 6 hours after I was rolled into the theater room, and yeah, they started the operation and my sister was there. Oh, before then, oh my god, my battery is flashing. Before then, when we were in the intensive care, there were other patients as well, and there was this particular woman that she had a child, but the baby was small as well. So me and my sister were like looking at her. I was like, oh god, this woman's baby is tiny, and I've never ever seen a small baby in my life before. Like normal baby, fine, but tiny baby, I've never. When I'm talking about, I'm only 21. How am I going to see small? Like, we felt sorry for that woman. So this time around now, me and I want to go and give birth to my own child. So my sister was there, we had all the doctors and everything there, and they said to her, you know, sit down. They had this curtain right in front of me, and they were doing their thing. My sister was supposed to sit down though and be looking after me, but no, she wanted to do a proko. She was standing. They were like, oh, you won't be advisable for you to look, but she was just trying to see what exactly was happening. So I was there. Whatever they were doing, I don't even want to remember, but I was having operation, and I was asking her, what's happening, because obviously she was looking and I wanted to know. So she was like, you don't worry, just sit down there and be praying. I was like, sure, you're not supposed to be praying for me, you're there looking. She was just looking. All I felt at that theater, I mean at that table, on that was just a pull. It wasn't hurtful, it wasn't pain, it was nothing. It was obviously because I was numbed and everything. It was just a little bit of like, you know, something came out of you. And I felt that the baby they've done the operation. I just looked next to me, I just saw my sister. She just sat down quietly. I was like, sure, you were the same person that was looking. What did you say? I was like, Afi, kilo shele, like, what happened? Have they born? Is the baby? She was like, yeah. I was like, then I asked her, I was like, is the baby as big as that woman that we saw? She was like, ah, that baby is a baby. Oh, this one that you born is not a baby. It's very, the way she described it, she was like, okay, will that be cool? Like, it's like, she's like, the baby is like rats. Like, it's as small as rats. I was like, small as rats. It hasn't still sinking in my head. So obviously the doctor came. She was quiet, she did not say anything. She was so quiet and like just sitting there. So the doctor came and they've wrapped the baby up, they've maxed everything, and they showed me his face. And immediately they took him to baby's intensive care unit, QB or whatever they call that place. And you know, they dealt with me and, you know, cleaned me up, and it took me to my recovery room. This time I was just sick, I was not feeling too well. Anything just went from 0 to 100 in terms of being sick. Like, I was so sick. Me that I enter inside this hospital myself, nothing was happening, but I was sick. So, you know, people came and visit. I couldn't go and see him because I was very, very sick. And I remember that night, I just wanted to see my baby. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm crying. I mean, put yourself together. So, I'm gonna show you guys. So when I was very tired and I couldn't sleep. I was just thinking everyone could see my baby except me. So one of the nurses that was there was like, oh, don't worry, mom, we're gonna get one of the nurses to at least send you a picture. And I mean, you can see the baby in the picture. So they brought me this picture. I don't know if you can see. They brought me that picture. So they brought me that picture, and this was what I was looking at every day, because for like 3 days I couldn't get up because I was in pain and I just had the operation. So I kept looking at this picture like every single day. I picked up the picture and I looked at it, and after 3 days I was able to go to see him in the intensive care unit. And when I got there, when I was going to see him, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I just didn't know. So we were going, and there were other babies there as well. So I was just like, oh, I don't even know which one is my baby. I don't know which one is my baby. There were big babies, there were, you know, normal baby, there were small babies, and my baby was just far at the end, covered up and all that. When the person that was wheeling me got there, was like, oh, this is baby Abbas, and they put so many layers of clothes on him. And when we got there, they started opening. I was like, why are they covering so much like this? And when they opened, and this time around, it was me and my sister that went to see the baby. She always go every day, and she tells me, as soon as I saw him, I was scared. I was like, no, this is not a child, this is not a baby. And it was so tiny. It was put in a bag. It was wrapped with so many layers of, maybe it was foil paper or something, I don't know. I must stop crying because you can't put this video up. It was wrapped, and he was just there flinging his hands around and everything. He felt like it was normal, but it wasn't, because it was a small baby. I must stop crying, Jesus. it was very tiny. The baby was tiny. When I mean tiny, it was that. So because they wrote it here, he weighed 0.860 grams. I don't know if you can see, it's a very tiny thing there. That was what it weighed. It weighed 0.86 gram. That was like less than 1 kg. And he was fighting there. He was a strong baby. He was just doing as if he was in a womb. I couldn't look at it. I just almost, like, I think I fainted, and my sister started praying. Well, like, and my sister's mom was there as well. She was like, don't worry, he's gonna survive. He's gonna survive. I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, it's not. How can someone like that survive? Oh, why are you crying? Jesus. So I stayed with him, and I looked at him, and I was just, oh God, I won't stop it. So we left. So 7 days after, because I'm a Muslim, I was born in a Muslim, and his father as well was a Muslim. So we did 7 days prayer. So we had my family, my uncle came, and they prayed for him right in the incubator there. So he was born on the 7th of June 2012, and that was how the journey started. When he was born, it started the journey, and the doctor came to me and said to me, listen, this child has 50% of living. 50% it would die, 50% it would live. And if he live, it's going to have, there's just high risk, it's going to have learning difficulty. It might not grow at pace because his lungs is not developed. This time they have oxygen. I'm going to show you a box, because everything that they used for him when he was born, I collected it because I wanted to keep it. So everything is in this box. This is his red book. I'll probably do a close-up of everything that is in here. All the arts he had on the wires and everything. I asked them, I really need it, because they told me it might not leave. I mean, I needed something to hold us, if I can't have him anymore. So the journey started. He was progressing. I'm sure some other mother can relate to this. If you have a child that is premature, they might be doing well this week, next week they're not doing well. So I just got used to it, like going to the hospital. I got discharged. Because of him, I became strong, because I wanted to be there for my child. I just wanted to, even though I don't know how long he's gonna live for, I just wanted to be there for him. So I'm always going there. I made friends with moms that were in similar situations with me. We always encourage each other. Even though we cry so much, we still try to pick each other up. And it was a long journey. He was born in June, and we left the hospital ending of September. So June, July, August, September. He was there for 3 months. So when he left, they said, obviously, because his lungs did not develop on time, so he came home with oxygen. I thought the nightmares were going to be over at the hospital, but he survived. And it was very tiny, but I didn't care. I was just happy that I had my child. Even at that journey, even people that I met at the hospital, some of them like lost their children. Some of them, their child didn't make it, but mine did.